inherent balance of an inline six-cylinder engine makes it appealing to drivers like us, and it contributed to the legendary status of historic cars such as the Nissan Skyline, several Jaguars, and many BMWs. The unbent 6 is a dying breed, though, becoming more rare every model year, kind of like station wagons and clutch pedals. Volvo has pretty much given up on clutch pedals but still offers both a wagon and a straight 6. The latter, we're told, will continue indefinitely even as the Chinese-owned Swedish brand has worn fealty to a future that's all about 3s and 4s and hybrids. The only way to get a Volvo V60 with a 3.0-litre turbocharged inline 6 rather than the 2.0-litre drive turbo 4 or the 2.5-litre turbo 5-cylinder is to choose the top D6 design model and all-wheel drive. That car, as tested here, also wears a Polestar badge on its tail, referencing the standard software upgrade from Volvo's racing partner that lifts output to 325 horsepower and 354 lb-ft, compared to 300 and 325 for the same engine as installed in the S80 sedan. Mojo. The car tested here is marketed as a 2015.5 model, which means that Volvo upgraded the in-dash infotainment system to incorporate some of the features on the all-new XC90, including 3G connectivity, Sensors Connect and Sensors Navigation, which can receive routes sent from your phone or computer and includes free map updates as long as the system is in production, plus power lumbar support for the seats. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same as the 2015 model that we ranked third in an earlier comparison test against the Audi Allroad and the BMW 3 Series wagon. Aiming to show that these Eurowagons make good alternatives to crossovers, the comparison wasn't quite apples to apples. Volvo did not yet have the V60 cross-country model that will match up more directly against the Allroad, as it packs a raised suspension, less power, and a lower price tag. The D6 design actually has a lowered suspension and a more performance-oriented mission. That's why it forms the basis for the limited edition, Polestar-branded models of the SV60. Which have proved popular enough that Volvo now plans to make more of them than it originally announced. The sticker on this example bumped right up to near $50,000 with only 3 options: $925 for a blind spot warning system, $750 for 19-inch wheels with summer performance tires, and $1,550 for the climate package that puts heaters in the seats front and rear, the steering wheel, the windshield, and the washer fluid nozzles. It would take another $12,000 to get into a high-performance Polestar wagon and more than $10,000 extra to buy the Polestar sedan we tested recently. The differences between the D6 design and the Polestar don't look that huge at the track. This car got to 60 miles per hour in 4.9 seconds versus 4.5 for the Polestar sedan, which has 20 more horsepower and weighs 117 pounds less. Our wagon ran the quarter mile in 13.5 seconds at 105 miles per hour. Only 0.4 seconds and 2 miles per hour slower than the Polestar. We managed 0.88 grams on the skid pad versus the Polestar's 0.91, and the wagon stopped from 70 miles per hour at only 157 feet 8 more than the Polestar sedan. This latter figure was a pleasant surprise. The comparison test V60 triggered complaints of a squishy pedal and needed 20 feet longer to stop. Meanwhile, the full-bore Polestar version of this car gets 6-foot Brembo calipers up front as one of its hardware upgrades. What these numbers don't tell you is that the D6 redesign doesn't feel as sweet and responsive as the Polestar edition. The steering responds less promptly, and shifts from the 6-speed transmission feel lazier. The standard tune on the Haldex all-wheel drive system likewise takes a moment before transferring torque to the rear axle, contributing to power and a steer and reluctant turn-in. Overall, the D6 redesign feels like a hot-rodded version of the V60, a little ponderous and clunky, while the Polestar has a more refined, sophisticated tune that feels as smooth and balanced as its straight six. Follow that star. The infotainment upgrades work well enough while relying on the same hardware for the interface. Who else still has a full telephone keypad on the dash? It even seems to respond more promptly than before, addressing one of the complaints we had in last year's comparison test. And the motorized lumbar improves on the seats, which we've lauded for their mix of support and long-range comfort. One way to look at all this is to say the T6 redesign comes pretty damned close to the Polestar version's performance at a 20 to 25% discount. That's a lot of cash you could save while getting most of the goodness. We remember wondering when we first drove the Polestar edition if some of the changes, like stiffer suspension, bushings and mounts, shouldn't be standard kit on the D6 redesign. These elements, unfortunately, would be difficult for an owner to retrofit. They're installed in Volvo's factory. Before Volvo lets its marketing department decide that motorsports doesn't fit the corporate mission yet the around-the-world sailing Volvo Ocean Race does, it should consider other potential benefits of the relationship with the racing team. The racers seem to know something about suspension tuning that the production side could learn from. The only part of their chassis solution that might be prohibitively expensive is a set of shock absorbers from Mullins. Recalibrating the transmission and all-wheel drive system in the Polestar fashion shouldn't cost much and would go a long way toward optimizing this car from the kind of customers who might otherwise shop one of the German brands.